Welcome here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. This is Dan Tortora, and this is Wake Up Call, your pregame show for Duke at Syracuse. Duke coming into the Dome, the newly renovated Dome, and the first time the Dome opens to the not even to the public, the first time the Dome opens since the renovation was September 26th of 2020. It was a game where Syracuse played against Georgia Tech, and they defeated Georgia Tech to get their first win of the season and first win in the ACC and first win at home, because it was their only game at home this season and their first win in the new look Dome. Syracuse comes into the game 1-2 after a loss on the road at North Carolina and at Pittsburgh, and then defeating Georgia Tech most recently. Duke comes into this game, as I said, with an 0-4 record, all of those games in the ACC. Duke lost at Notre Dame, which is a part of the ACC this season. They lost at home against Boston College, at Virginia, and at home against Virginia Tech. Duke has been held scoreless in the fourth quarter through the first three games. No score in the fourth quarter, last 15 minutes of the game against Notre Dame, against Boston College, and against Virginia. But they scored 17 points to break that drought in the fourth quarter against Virginia Tech, but it wasn't enough because the defense couldn't stop. Every time the offense did something for Duke, the defense allowed a response by Virginia Tech, losing the game at home 38-31, which brings us to where we are today as Duke will face off against Syracuse. And the hope is that Syracuse has found something, potentially found something here in the run. We haven't seen Syracuse run the ball a lot under Dino Babers. The most that we saw it, probably, arguably, with Mo Neal. And I would argue that they could run the ball a little bit more when they had Mo Neal. So, Syracuse now, under Sean Tucker, he was able to get over 100 yards rushing. He carried the ball 24 times, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns in Syracuse's win over Georgia Tech. We'll be talking with Dino Babers today about Sean Tucker and about the running game. I'll also be talking with Dino Babers about Duke and about Coach Cutcliffe. And I'll have an opportunity for the first time ever to welcome defensive back Garrett Williams to the broadcast. I'm very happy to have you here, and I appreciate you tremendously. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is here to bring you inside of Duke at Syracuse. What does Duke bring to the table? What is Syracuse doing right, and what do they need to change? All of that on today's broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Again, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Thank you for hanging out with us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. And if you have any thoughts on Syracuse or thoughts on Duke, feel free to share those during this broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora by simply writing to us right here on Facebook Live. We appreciate you here on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT to give your thoughts, your opinions, and everything that's going through your mind as we get set for Syracuse's 4th game of the season and Duke's 5th. Duke has not had a bye week yet. They've played all the way through, and their first bye week will have their second bye week find them very, very closely because the season is totally different. Everybody's got a different schedule, right? Things have changed up. We've seen different things happen here, and that's because we're all trying to navigate what's going on. In order to get college football to happen, we had to be creative. The ACC finding a way to be creative by having 10 games all in conference, adding Notre Dame, and then having one non-conference game. The SEC has now come back. The Big 12 has come back. The AAC has come back. And we still await the Big 10 and then the Pac-12, trying to get everything in here before we have a champion chosen, before we can figure out who's going to the college football playoff. So, with that being stated, let's take a look at Duke thus far. The game at Notre Dame, we go and look at it by the numbers. Chase Brice was 20 of 37 in the game, 259 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Leading running back has been Deion Jackson. Deion Jackson, 15 carries for 52 yards. The team only amounted 75 yards on the ground against Notre Dame, a team that is supposed to vie for the ACC championship this season. The majority of the media that voted in the ACC preseason poll agreed with me that Notre Dame is number 2. So Notre Dame in this game did some good things, obviously. Didn't have to do too much, didn't have to go too crazy. They were almost even when it came to passing yards, 263 to 259 of Duke. Eli Pankel was the leader for Duke. 3 receptions for 78 yards. Noah Gray was right behind him at 68. And Jalon Calhoun with 62. Jake Bobo had 3 for 34 for that. Fumble-wise, Chase Brice fumbled and lost it, and Jalon Calhoun fumbled and lost his as well. 2 fumbles, 2 lost by the Duke Blue Devils in the game. As far as defensively, they were able to sack Notre Dame 3 times, 5 tackles in total for a loss, and they were able to hurry the quarterback twice. Duke had 1 interception from Lummy Young, the 4th, so that's something to note. And then Duke is typically good when it comes to special teams and returning the ball. Josh Blackwell returned, or pardon me, let me go here to, the punt returns here. Josh Blackwell, 4 of them for 27 yards, not too much there. But on kick returns, Demond Filia Johnson had 2 for 41 yards in the game. Duke scored 13 points against Notre Dame on the road, and weren't able to get much going. Like I said, they did not score in the fourth quarter. Chase Brice, it's notable to mention that this quarterback has already seen Syracuse when he played up against Syracuse in 2018. He played in that game because Syracuse was on the road at Death Valley, and when they were in that game, somebody that I consider a friend and someone who has been on the show recently here that I covered during his recruitment in his time at Syracuse, and since then, when he got signed to the San Francisco 49ers, Evan Foster, the safety, who is also capable of playing linebacker, he is the one that knocked Trevor Lawrence out of the game. Clean hit on Trevor Lawrence by the left sideline, took him out of the game. Chase Brice came in. I believe Chase was 7 of 13 in that game. Didn't even have 100 yards passing. Didn't have to do much of anything because Travis Etienne was there, but he managed the game, and he managed it well and helped Clemson to get a small margin of victory, 27-23, with Syracuse making a few offensive mistakes on the road toward the end of the game. So Syracuse has already seen Chase Brice, but it was under different circumstances on a different team with different personnel. And I think not having Travis Etienne says something. But what also says something to me is the fact that David Cutcliffe knows his quarterbacks, and he can get a lot out of you. I argue that maybe he can get the most out of you of any coach if you're going to be playing for him. So there's something to be said there, and I think that that's something to obviously note here, because he is a quarterback. In my opinion, he's a quarterback guru, and being the quarterback guru that he is, there's a reason why he wanted Chase Brice to transfer, and he got something out of it. Chase, in the second game of the season against Boston College, lost the game 26-6. This is not Steve Adazio's Boston College anymore, so it surprised me that this is a 20-point victory by BC. Duke did little to nothing in this. Chase Brice threw 2 interceptions, 23 of 42, 217 passing yards. Deion Jackson led the way on the rushing attack again for 74 yards, 15 carries for 74, which was good because in the last game they had 75 as a team. In this game he had 74 by himself. Malio Durant had 5 carries for 59 yards, 11.8 yards a carry. That's somebody to look to. 1 touchdown in the game. Noah Gray led the way with Jake Bobo when it came to receiving, both 5 catches apiece. Neither one of them had a touchdown. Brice fumbled in this game as well. Deion Jackson fumbled and Demond Filia Johnson fumbled. They fumbled 3 times in this game, lost all 3 of them after fumbling twice in their first game and losing both of those. Duke did sack the quarterback of Boston College 6 times, so that's something to make note up here, and was able to hurry the quarterback twice for the second week in a row. So that's also something to note here. Duke, in their third game, when they faced off against Virginia, Duke lost this game as well, as they have lost them all up to this point. If you're just tuning in here, speaking on Duke and what Duke's done up to this moment as they get set to play Syracuse. In their game against Virginia, they allowed almost 40 points. Chase Brice threw his first touchdown as a Duke Blue Devil, had 2 in the game, but he had 4 interceptions. So, in his first 3 games of Duke, 6 interceptions, 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in this game. 16 of 36, 246 yards passing. Deion Jackson led the way again. Only had 49 yards on the ground on 14 carries. The team rushed the ball for 56 yards with multiple people rushing it. but only gaining 7 yards besides Deion Jackson. Jake Marwoody was the one that led the way, 2 receptions for 59 yards in this game. DeMonfilia Johnson, 2 for 40. And Jalon Calhoun was down here. Noah Gray and Jake Bobo were held to little to nothing. Noah had 3 catches for 23 yards. Bobo had 1 for 18. In this game, Gunnar Holmberg, fumbled the ball, and Jake Bobo fumbled the ball. They both lost it. So every time that Duke fumbled the ball in their first 3 games of the season, they lost the ball. Fumbling the ball multiple times in all of their first 3 games. Fumbling twice in their first game against Notre Dame, 3 times against Boston College, twice against Virginia, which is great for a Syracuse team that loves to create turnovers. Duke has fumbled consistently and lost every single one of them. So that's something to note here. They were able to sack the quarterback once in this game against Virginia, and they did not hurry the quarterback at all in the matchup, where Duke gave up 38 points, including 188 yards on the ground and 262 yards through the air, and they allowed a 100-yard receiver, with Lavelle Davis Jr. of Virginia getting 101 yards on 4 catches with 2 touchdowns, and they allowed almost a 100-yard back in the game against Virginia as well. With that being stated, Duke's most recent game, when they played up against Virginia Tech, a game where they fought back and forth, and I was able to follow this game. I was on one of my walks, and I was able to listen in and get a feel for this matchup. And looking at this game, with Duke just played recently here up against Virginia Tech, they were able to answer offensively, which is something that they haven't been able to do, but they did not answer defensively, which is something that has continued to plague them. Chase Brice had 1 touchdown and 1 interception. That means in 4 games as a Duke Blue Devil, Chase Brice has had 3 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. 3 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He has also fumbled the ball and lost it multiple times. Deion Jackson was able to get a touchdown on the ground. He got 2 in this game, 15 carries for 68 yards. Malio Durant, 11 carries for 86 yards, 7.8 yards a carry. Deion Jackson seems to be the person that they are trusting in to run the ball. However, Durant is getting more opportunity, or he's getting enough opportunity here for me to look at him as a potential catalyst in the backfield for Duke, and because he's rushing for 11 yards a carry in one of the games and 7.8 in the game most recently, he is a potential one-touch big threat against Syracuse in this matchup. Jarrett Garner led the way with 3 catches for 84 yards in their most recent loss. That was to Virginia Tech. Noah Gray, 6 catches, 51 yards, and a touchdown. And Jake Bobo falling down the list here with Jalon Calhoun as well. Not doing too much. DeMonfilia Johnson, 2 catches for 29 yards. The team fumbled in this game, but did not lose a fumble. Chase Brice fumbled again. Malio Durant fumbled. So that means Chase Brice has thrown 7 interceptions over 4 games. Chase Brice has thrown interceptions more times than he's thrown touchdowns in games as a Duke Blue Devil, and he has fumbled in 3 of the team's 4 games, and he has lost almost every single one of them except for 1. That is fantastic news for the Syracuse Orange, as they love to attack. When it comes defensively, Syracuse's best part of their team right now is their defense. And knowing that they're going up against a team that is fumble prone and interception prone and mistake prone and give the ball to the other team prone in general, that is great news for Syracuse. Like I said, in their last game with Jeff Sims coming in, him averaging 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions per game, this is a guy who turns the ball over. He's playing against a defense that likes to create turnovers and grab interceptions, and what did Syracuse do? Not only did they force him to throw 2, and not only did they pick him off twice to match his average, but they doubled it up, and they picked him off 4 times in the game. 4 times, 4 different players, including 2 players getting their first interception of their careers, Jahad Carter and Robert Hanna. And Andre Cisco, the leading interception getter on the active list for defensive players in the nation amongst all FBS Division 1A 130 college institutions. He wasn't even playing in the game. He didn't even play it down. He got hurt in the pregame with a lower body extremity injury that, God willing, he'll be okay. Think about that. Jeff Sims comes into the game throwing 2 interceptions a game. He's supposed to be going up against the leader in interceptions for active players in college football. Andre Cisco, being that leader, doesn't even play, and Syracuse makes Jeff Sims throw 4 interceptions. They grab interceptions all over. Trill Williams gets one, Jihad Carter gets one, Robert Hannon gets one, a tip ball near the line of scrimmage, Josh Black gets one. Syracuse has had at least one interception in every single game this season. A loss to North Carolina, the loss to Pittsburgh, and the win over Georgia Tech. They have at least one interception in every single game. And they're coming up against a quarterback that has 7 interceptions and 3 touchdowns passing over his first 4 games since transferring to Duke. And he's thrown an interception in 3 of 4 games. And he's fumbled the ball multiple times, and Duke has fumbled the ball. Duke has fumbled the ball in every single game they played in this season. And they've only recovered a couple of them. The rest of them have gone to the other team. So, fumble-prone, interception-prone Duke comes into Syracuse to go up against a defense that creates fumbles and creates interception opportunities. Just like Georgia Tech, this seems like a perfect opportunity for Syracuse's defense to build on their stats. So, where does that bring us? Well, Syracuse offense needs a wake-up call. That's why I'm happy we're here this morning, because that's exactly what we are. Syracuse's offense woke up when they played up against Georgia Tech. When Georgia Tech is not a fantastic team, but they're not an awful team. I don't think this season they'll get the respect that they deserve unless they pull off a big-time win somewhere. But Georgia Tech is not terrible. They're 2-1 in the ACC. They're 2-2 overall. They just defeated Louisville, who came into the season ranked and was supposed to be good. Louisville's now unranked, and they defeated Louisville at home 46-27. So with all that being stated, as we look at this game, Syracuse didn't beat an awful team in Georgia Tech, but it's a game where they woke up. It's a game where they decided to do something that I've been hoping and praying this team would do for a long time, which is run the rock. Sean Tucker came into the season, arguably 5th on the depth chart, behind Abdul Adams, who elected not to play the season due to Corona. Also, Jarvion Howard, who elected not to play this season due to Corona. Jawar Jordan Jr. and Markenzie Pierre. Sean Tucker was 5th. Sean Tucker had 24 carries for 112 yards, 4.7 yards a carry, had 100 yards net and gain, did not lose a single yard in the first half against Georgia Tech. Had 15 carries for 100 yards, over 6 yards a carry. Had his 2 touchdowns in the first half. He opened the game up. He helped out Tommy DeVito. He gave Tommy an opportunity to get a little bit comfortable, right? Have some time. So as Duke gets set to play Syracuse, my hope is that Syracuse will continue to run the ball, to run the rock, and trust in that. And with that being stated, I had an opportunity to speak with Dino Babers about running the rock. And I'd love to share that with you this morning as we look at this matchup. You know, as we look at what's going on and everything that there is moving forward here. Dino has an opportunity to continue to run the rock. Dino has an opportunity to continue to make things happen on the ground. And my hope is that he will. My hope is that he will continue to trust in it. That he will continue to go after it in that respect. Because that is exactly what Syracuse needs, in my opinion. They need to run the ball. They need to trust in running the ball. It's what the identity used to be. And in my hopes, it's something that's coming back. And hopefully Sean Tucker can pull it off and continue to make things happen. His first touchdown of his young career as a freshman was fantastic. He broke through the middle. A hole was open thanks to the offensive line. He saw it, he took it, and he took off. Down the field. Got wrapped up. Looked like he was going down. He spun off of his defender. Kept his knees off the ground and ran into the end zone. Nobody really knew what was going on except for Sean, and he kept going. And when he did, he got his first career touchdown. And he backed it up with a short yardage one after that. Here is, after that Georgia Tech game, I had the opportunity to speak with Dino about Sean Tucker and running the ball. And this is what he had to say.
Hey, Dino, just to go back to the run and trusting in the run in this game, just what you could say about what Sean Tucker did overall and having faith in the run game with multiple running backs in this matchup.
You know, I think the biggest thing about running backs is that it doesn't matter. You know, we lost a great one this week in Gale Sayers. Man, oh, wow, what a fantastic runner. And the thing with running backs, whether they're big and strong like Jim Brown or whether they're elusive like Gale Sayers or Larry Zonka, big tough guy, or Mercury Morris, you know, super fast, is that they've got to get more than what's on the play. You know, if there's a guy that, if you're big and a guy comes there to tackle you, you have to break the tackle. Franco Harris, you got to break the tackle. Riggins from the Redskins. If you're a smaller guy, then you got to be able to take it to the house and make a guy miss. You know, Barry Sanders, first guy can't bring you down. Whatever your style is, you have to get more than what the play is blocked. And that's what Sean Tucker was doing tonight. And I thought Jawar was going to have a good game, and he got a little nicked up, and then Sean just took it over. So, you know, we look at yards after first contact. You know, some people call it yak, but it's yards after first touch, yards after first touch. And if you get touched on the 20 and you get tackled on the 20, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a guy that gets touched on the 20 and gets tackled on the 25 or the 26. Those are the guys that can keep running games going. And I thought he did a good job of that tonight.
Thank you, Dino. Congrats on the historic win.
Thank you, sir.
So that coming from Dino Babers, and I thought it was great because he mentioned so many different running backs, and he mentioned different styles. And when he mentioned different styles, you know, the way that he talked about it and the way that he went about it, I thought it was really, really cool. And so, you know, and I thought it showed, you know, his knowledge of the game, you know, honestly, because I don't know Dino to run the rock. You know, I don't know him to put an emphasis on that. And so to know how much he knows historically about running the ball and all that, that gave me some hope. It also was really cool to hear, and I thought it was interesting, and I hope you enjoyed it too, listening back to that, because, you know, it was, I mean, this is not something, it's not, I don't give him the questions in advance. It's not like he can look up all this information and then talk about it. So I thought it was really awesome that he could just kind of pick that all up and pull that all up and discuss it. So shout out to Dino for that, for being able to describe and really have an example for every type of running back, you know, as we had the conversation, to be able to talk about like every different style. And then when he talked about styles of different people and things that they did, that he was able to have an example. I thought that was a really awesome and interesting interview and conversation. So my thanks to Dino Babers for that. With that being said, I want to go into my first conversation that I've ever had with Garrett Williams as we head into this game for Syracuse, as Garrett is part of that defense that has been harassing opposing offenses and has a perfect opportunity against a team that is prone to turning the ball over this season. This is what Garrett had to say.
Garrett, in these first few games, everybody's gotten to eat on the defense. Interceptions coming from the D-line, the linebackers, and the secondary. Just what you can say about how explosive this defense can be and the plays that you guys have been able to make these first few games.
I think we're really talented on defense as it is. And then on top of that, we play so fast and aggressive. And I think the most important part is how much fun we have while playing, because we all enjoy being around each other, even outside of football. So I think it really shows when we come together on game days.
You know, and as we step into this game, Garrett Williams, once again, a part of this defense and doing good things defensively for Syracuse. As we look at it, I mean, Syracuse, again, so many people have eaten, and that's what I spoke with them about that you just heard. You know, so many players have gotten to eat this year defensively, whether it's the defensive line, the linebackers, or the secondary. So many people have gotten to eat and really enjoy, you know, being a part of this 3-3-5 defense, which has been working. It's been working. Tony White, defensive coordinator, that's been working as well. And hopefully it continues to work for Syracuse, because it's been the brightest spot of a 1-2 start this season. And remember, even though Syracuse started 0-2 and the offense wasn't doing much of anything in the first two games against North Carolina, against Pittsburgh, both winnable games as Pittsburgh and North Carolina made mistakes, and the defense created turnovers. Normally, that is the perfect ingredient. Those are the perfect ingredients for Syracuse or any team to get a win when the other team's offense is making mistakes and your defense is, creating turnovers. That usually puts you in a really good place to win a game more often than not. In Syracuse's place, the offense just sputtered and couldn't get anything done, and so Syracuse did not win. But with that being said, Syracuse is 1-2. If they win against Duke today, they'll be back. They'll be at 2-2. The last time that they were 500 was when they were 0-0 before the season even started. If you're Michigan, that would mean you'd be in the top 25 and rise up 3 spots, allegedly. But if Syracuse wins today, they'll have a 500 record. They'll be dead even, and they have an opportunity to have a winning record going into their home game, their third in a row, which would be against Liberty, an independent team. Perfect situation for Syracuse to be in where they sit right now. It's a great situation for Syracuse to be in. When we look at the individual stats, since I'm speaking here on the defense for Syracuse, if we look at this right now, leading the team in tackles is Jeff Canton-Arku. He has altogether 22 total tackles. 18 of those are solo. He has 2 tackles for a loss. Behind him, Jihad Carter with 18. Garrett Williams, who you just heard from here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in that Q&A, 17. Mikel Jones, 16. Trill Williams, 16. Stephon Thompson, 14. Afatu Melifanu, 12. Josh Black, 11. Andre Sisco, 11. So those are all the players that have double-digit tackles defensively right now. When it comes to interceptions, here's the cool part for Syracuse. When is the last time that you heard that Syracuse had an interception, at least one, in every single game of a season to start off in game 1? Syracuse has had interceptions in all 3 games of the season, and like I said, they're playing a quarterback that is 7 interceptions in, 3 touchdowns in as a Duke Blue Devil, which puts Syracuse in a good position as they are now facing their second quarterback in a row that is interception and turnover prone. Mikel Jones leads the team with 2 interceptions, got his first and second of his career in this season, and he got his first one in the first game of the season, second one in the second game of the season. Jihad Carter has his first career interception. Trill Williams picked up 1. Josh Black got 1. Andre Sisco was able to get an interception, and Rob Hanna got his first interception of his career. So that leaves Syracuse with 6 different players with an interception this season so far, which is huge for Syracuse. Forced fumbles, Stephon Thompson, Cody Roscoe, and Tyrell Richards all have a forced fumble this season. Fumble recoveries go to Mikel Jones, Steve Linton, and Aaron Belinsky. All have fumble recoveries this season for the Syracuse Orange. So, great opportunity for Syracuse to continue to grab their turnovers and pad their stats as the Syracuse Orange look to take on the Duke Blue Devils. And that's really the story right now, is a team that is turnover prone and a team that capitalizes on those turnovers. And waving hi to Joy this morning and to everybody that's watching and listening as Syracuse gets set to face off in their 4th game of the season, Duke their 5th game of the season. I find it hard to believe why Duke would be favored in this game at 0-4, a team that has not done a lot of great things offensively, turns the ball over consistently offensively, and, has not really gotten their offense to start clicking and be able to respond to things until most recently against Virginia Tech. But when an 0-4 team comes in, you can't just count them out and say that they're going to lose, and Syracuse does like to bring that cardiac cues from the court to the field, so I can understand that side of it. But as we look at this game and we look at this team, I do want to go back before I give my prediction and my thoughts inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Go there today, get your favorite kettle corn. If you've never tried it, they have so many different flavors. They'll deliver them right to your doorstep, or you can go pick it up if you're in the community. You can get 20% off whether you're doing in-store pickup on 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, or if you're having it delivered to you wherever you are in the world, you can go to MaandPazPopcorn.com and utilize my promo code DT20. That's DT20. to get 20% off. So don't delay and make sure that you do that today with Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com. The final Q&A that I have to share with you today is between Dino and I once again, but this was after, this is when him and I got to speak this week as we head into this matchup, and I got to ask him a couple different questions here. So let's jump into that conversation with Dino Babers here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And I will have something special for you because you won't be able to see exactly what we're talking about right here initially. So I will share that with you right after Dino got to see it this week. I will share it with you right after that. So this is what Dino and I had to say when we had an opportunity to speak once again, this time this week in game week for the Duke game.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Hey, Dan.
I do want to let you know that I remembered what you said last week. I'm not in the car, but I made you a sign.
I appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to make sure I answer your questions.
All right, so I wanted to, first and foremost, just what you saw from Duke. I know they were held scoreless in the fourth quarter of their first three games, but they scored 17 in this last one and tried to fight back. Just what you see from them on film.
Well, you can see that David Cutcliffe has gotten a lot more involved with things that are going on. That looked like almost an entirely different football team, and they gave a heck of a fight up Saturday. I mean, I really believe that Coach Cutcliffe is one of the sharpest guys I've ever met in coaching, and I know that he's going to right that ship. And that is not the guy you want to be going against when it looks like things are going bad and he's rallying the troops. So they're going to come in here ready to go. They have a huge advantage because they played a game last week, and that normally means that they're going to have an opportunity to start a little bit faster than us. We're going to have an advantage that we're going to have some guys healthy, supposedly. And hopefully, we can catch up to game speed fast enough that we don't get too far behind where we can make a game of it.
And then as far as obviously coming off the success of running the ball with Sean Tucker, just what you could say about, trying to, balance that out and really trust in the run. And what have you seen from Sean since then as he improves and you guys get ready for this game?
Continued growth. We were talking to the guys this entire week that he's slowly coming along. We want to make sure that he slowly gets it right. And we think we have a lot of good backs, but, it just goes to show you this guy may be one, this guy may be three, and then a guy gets an opportunity and you go, whoa. Now, we saw those things out of Sean before, but he really, he showed off. We call it showing off. He showed off Saturday, so obviously he's going to get an opportunity to show off again.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
That coming from Dino Babers as Syracuse gets set to take on Duke today. Once again, Duke 0-4, Syracuse 1-2. And so when Dino and I, a couple weeks ago, when I was on the Zoom call with the rest of the media, I was in my car because I'm always, on the go. And so I was inside of my Honda CRV from Honda City of Liverpool. And so I was hanging out in the car because I had to drive. I had a place I had to get to. And so Dino said to me, he's like, "What car are you in?" He said, "You're always in a car when you're on these, teleconference or these Zoom conferences and whatnot." So I told him I was in my Honda, and he said, "Well, you have a skylight, you like the sunroof," and he was like, "I'm always looking up at that. You need to put a Hi Coach Baber sign up there next time." So I wasn't in the car this week when we had it, but I didn't forget, and I showed this to him, and that's why he was laughing, because I didn't forget what he had said, and so we had some fun with it this week on the Zoom conference call earlier on in the week. So my hi to Coach Babers. So you heard from Dino Babers today. You also heard from Garrett Williams as we get set on Syracuse taking on Duke. And really, folks, what it comes down to, not to continue to go over a point. The reality of it all is it comes down to the fact that Syracuse's offense is going to have to continue to wake up, continue to show improve, and move forward, because they, defensively, this is a game that I'm licking my chops if I have this. If I had Jeff Sims last week, now I got Chase Brice, and you had a running quarterback in Jeff Sims, which obviously is going to be different with Chase Brice, and the fact that he's going to trust in his arm a little bit more. I would imagine in this matchup. So as Syracuse gets ready to take them on, it's like, okay, well, you don't have to worry about a quarterback being dual threat, and this is a quarterback like Jeff Sims who's turned the ball over a lot. The defense looks like they're going to capitalize and continue to improve their stats and hopefully have the fourth game out of 4 games with at least 1 interception. And then fumbling the ball, Duke doing it, like I said, in every single game, and more often than not being able to recover that fumble. That's a big thing for Syracuse as well. But the offense is going to have to turn on because as we look at, Syracuse and Tommy DeVito, quarterback of the Syracuse Orange this season, as we look at their 3 games, in the first game against North Carolina in a 31-6 loss, he was 13 of 31, 41.9% completion percentage for 112 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Against Pittsburgh in a loss 21-10, he completed 9 passes of 15 attempts for 32 yards, 60% completion percentage, no touchdown, and an interception. Rex Culpepper came into that game as well and was able to throw his first touchdown since going through cancer treatment and being cancer-free, and God bless, always may he be cancer-free. May everybody that has to go through that be cancer-free, and hopefully none of us will have to go through it from here on out. I don't want anybody to ever have to go through cancer or a loved one with cancer. I pray and I hope for us all in Jesus' name. Against Georgia Tech, 37-20 win. He completed 13 passes on 24 attempts, so was able to complete 13 passes for the second time in 3 games this season, but to do it on less attempts, which improved his completion percentage from that first game of 13 for 31, 41.9% completion percentage, to be 13 of 24, 54% completion percentage. Rose his completion percentage in those 2 games of 13 completions apiece, rose it almost 13% there, but not his best game. His best game was against Pitt at 60%. He had 194 yards in the game against Georgia Tech, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The big note here, though, that has to do with Tommy DeVito, is the offensive line did not allow Georgia Tech to sack Tommy more than 1 time, which has to do with Tommy and has to do with protection. Against Pittsburgh, 7 sacks. Against North Carolina, 7 sacks. So, Syracuse ran the ball well. Tommy's completion percentage was obviously a little bit better. Not as good as the game before with 60%, but it was a little bit better. He threw his first touchdown pass of the season. Then he threw his second touchdown pass of the season. They protected him more. They ran the ball well. And then it all opens things up. If you're running the ball well, then the pass becomes easier. It's common sense. And if you're protecting on the run and creating holes on the run and protecting the quarterback when he's throwing, then obviously that's going to help you out. So an improvement of the offensive line and an improvement of the running game gave Tommy DeVito a better day. And then Tommy was able to, arguably, I think his 2 best passes of the game were the touchdown passes. One was a little bit off timing, but Taj was able to get to it. Taj Harris was able to get under it and stumble into the end zone. And then the one to Nykeep Johnson was perfect. It was right through the seam with 2 defenders collapsing, catches the ball in a perfect place, and walks right into the end zone. So I would say that Tommy had a really, really good throw and a pretty good throw in the game. Those were his touchdown passes. So you need these things to happen. Now, hopefully it's not a fluke that the offensive line protected well. Hopefully it's not a fluke that Sean Tucker did what he did and they ran the ball well. They're nice signs and they're nice hopes as we move forward, but it has to stay consistent if they want to win. Because the defense, once again, is not to belabor a point, the defense is not the issue. They have not been the issue, and I don't think they're going to be the issue, arguably, moving forward. So Syracuse's offense is going to have to turn it on. Tommy is going to have to improve his completion percentage, attack when he needs to on the ground, and they're going to have to continue to protect him like they did against Georgia Tech and run the ball and trust in the run, running on first and second series in the game against Georgia Tech. They need to open with the run. They need to trust in the run. They need to not be afraid to go back to the run, continue to create those holes, and Sean Tucker needs to continue to impress. And as like Dino said, he showed off against Georgia Tech, and he'll have an opportunity to show off in this game. So hopefully that means he's going to run the rock. Hopefully that means they're going to trust him early, and hopefully that opens the game for Syracuse, because I think that those are ingredients to success as the team moves forward. With all that being stated, I want to thank Dino Babers as well as Garrett Williams for being a part of the show. I want to thank you for being here with us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. CafeKubal.com is where you get all your info for home delivery, a delivery in Onondaga County. You do not have to pay a delivery charge to have them deliver your favorite coffee and Cafe Kubal things to you. If the mobile cafe is where, if you want that to come and set up in your neighborhood, at your school, if you want them to come out to your place of business, you can get information on that and the form to fill out by going to CafeKubal.com. You can also find all of this information by going to WakeUpCallDT.com, clicking on the Central New York tab and going down to Cafe Kubal. And, of course, they have their cafes that are open all throughout Syracuse, New York. Two of them open on the weekend. The Salina Cafe on 401 South Salina Street. You can go there today. And you go to the Eastwood Cafe on 3501 James Street. And then during weekdays, they have theirs inside of Golisano Children's Hospital. That one's obviously there for you. And then weekdays, they have the opportunity for you to go to 324 West Water Street in Syracuse, as well as their newest location on 208 North Townsend Street for the Hawley Green Cafe. With all of that being stated, that is Duke at Syracuse. This is your pregame. And guess what, folks? We're taking the postgame show on the road, and we're going to be at the Wildcat Sports Pub shortly after the game. I can't give you an exact time because I don't know if the game will start on time. God willing, it will. But due to Corona and extra testing last week, it started 36 minutes late. The game today is supposed to start at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But as you know, and I know, and Syracuse fans very well know, we don't know when a game is going to end. You can think it's going to be 3 hours, but last season I think we saw 4-hour-plus games. So the reality of it all is when the game ends, I will be talking with Dino Babers, God willing, after the game and heading out to the Wildcat. So I will give a rough estimate. So for those of you that are going to watch the game at the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, you won't have to worry about it because you already have a perfect seat. We're going to be on the new side underneath the giant screen on stage most likely. So we'll be out there with my guy, a sports reporter, Isaac Elford, who joined me at the beginning of the show this week. So we'll be out there having some fun, enjoying our time. We may have a special guest to come out there as well. And so we will be there shortly after the game. I'll give an approximate. That's why you need to follow us on social media at WakeUpCallDT on Facebook, at CallDT on the Twitter, and on Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Because if you follow us on social media, you will be the first to know what time we're going to be out at the Wildcat approximately. So I'm going to head straight from the Dome to the Wildcat, set up on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, and bring you the best post-game show that you're going to see. Very excited about it and excited to share that with you from inside the Dome. I will give you my take. I'll also have more videos and pictures once again as the Dome is closed to the public. I got to be one of the few people that got to reopen the Dome, and I will be there today in the continuation in the second event being held at the Dome, and this being Duke at Syracuse on the football field. So stay close to our social media for pictures, videos, and more, as well as my coverage of the game. And, of course, stay close there to find out when we'll be at the Wildcat. I suggest that you go to the Wildcat, watch on the big screen, and listen on their speakers that are all throughout their amazing establishment with fantastic food and drinks. Watch the game there, and then hang out for the postgame as Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora will be taking our show on the road, and we will be at the Wildcat for today's Duke at Syracuse live postgame show. And for those of you that are out of town, socially distanced, whatever you're doing, you can watch us right here on Facebook Live again on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. In the meantime, God bless, no stress, do your best, and I very much look forward to talking with you soon.